This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Yeah, if I had to entitle this podcast, I guess it would be everything you wanted to know about your heart, but didn't want to take a lot of time to figure it out. And in just a few minutes, we've been learning so much. This is actually part 3. We didn't think yes, the heart is so important. It's everything it supports. Never thought we'd go 3 episodes here, but there's so much to talk about. And we've identified some of the challenges regarding our hearts. And today, some of the solutions, courtesy of the founder of Path to Wellness in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And she does so much: acupuncture, massage, wellness. She's an RN. She is Teresa Wilkinson. She's back with us.
Or you're a medical doctor, nutritionist.
I don't have listen, you have so many qualifications that would take 4 podcasts.
Okay.
To go through them, but I appreciate it.
Well, welcome back to part 3 of the heart.
So where do we begin today?
Well, one thing I want to make note is I had a question posed to me by a doctor. It was a OBGYN, and he said, what is the main killer of a woman, the main death that causes death in a woman? As I'm getting on the table. And so I'm thinking OBGYN stuff, like breast cancer, uterine cancer, cervix cancer, things that, an OBGYN would deal with, because they are very common. And some of the secret killers are the ovarian and uterine, because, breasts, is more obvious. People do the mammograms or notice a lump. And then the other parts are more hidden and not as aware. And so anyway, so I went that direction. He said, no, what is the biggest killer of women, as far as a disease process? And it's not OBGYN. And I said, heart. He says, you're right. So, but if you think about it, the 2 big things that we face in our health and staying alive is it's either going to be heart or cancer. Those are the 2 biggies. And so I think it's all about, we just want to have the best life we can. We want to live as long as we can in the best quality and enjoy. And so one interesting fact about the heart is that the heart beats 100,000 times per day, over 35 million times per year, and it never gets a day off.
I get anxiety just hearing that. Wow.
So we're going to just talk about some simple things that support the heart, which is food, supplements, and lifestyle. And one thing, I had a lady, an attorney came in this past week, and she was before a good normal size. She is a short little thing, but around 40 years old. And she was skin and bones. And I said, I hadn't seen her in a while. I said, what's going on? And she said, she goes, you're not going to like this, but I've been on a carnivorous diet. And she goes, it's helped my IBS. And I said, well, from my experience, meat is very hard to digest, and that would be very difficult if you had IBS, because the meat just seems to sit in the colon. It doesn't process like fiber would.
Yep.
If you get what I mean. So, that's kind of an obvious. But anyway, her little arms and her shoulder blades and her she just looked like she was like a almost anorexic. But I couldn't believe that she'd lost all that weight just eating meat. And of course, that might have been, portion control too, because how much meat can a small woman eat? So she might have been eating meat, but maybe not large portions. But anyway, there is a lot of amino acids in meat, and I do know that people that do eat meat get that. But there is a lot of amino acids, and I think we've talked about greens and spirulina and so anyway, we'll go right into diet since we're talking about that. I kind of wanted to lead in with that because this carnivorous diet is very popular for weight loss. And I think, if that's something that you want to go towards to lose weight, all great. But I think it should only be temporary because I think we need a well balanced diet. Haven't we always been taught that from being a little kid on, clean your plate so you can get your dessert?
Sure. There's a lot that goes there when you yeah, and here when you're younger, but as you get older, I want to back to that woman with the
Carnivorous diet,
what was her motivation for that?
losing weight.
Losing weight. Okay. Hmm. And I fully agree with you. Hey, I love my good steak, but I do find, especially as you get older, that hey, it was
It's
great. And then 3 hours later, it's like, oh man, it's just sitting there. I'm feeling like lethargic. I've heard like it takes hours and hours to digest
right.
meat.
You're right. You're right. Where when you do your vegetables, they break down real quickly. A lot of it's water, and fiber. Now, this is my thought on going into that carnivorous diet. Okay, if you just say a lot of people will gain weight being on a vegetarian diet, but what are they eating? They're eating bread, pasta, uh, candy. I
Mhm.
mean, you can look at a vegetarian diet and be eating the wrong things, and that's why you've gained weight. So really, it's all about eating healthy, nutrient things. But one of the things, going back to number one, is leafy greens. If you had a heart attack and you were working with a cardiologist, I guarantee they would want you to eat a well-rounded, healthy diet with leafy greens, as in spinach and lettuce, having your salads. Um, Berries are very good antioxidants, so it's always good to use. We've talked about making our own protein drinks using strawberries and blueberries and bananas, and then we've got to include our omega 3s help reduce arrhythmias and protect our arteries. And so salmon is very good. So they say fatty fish, even sardines and mackerel. So I'm more of a salmon eater myself. And then going into the vegetable kingdom, you're going to get those fats through your avocados, your nuts, seeds, beans, lentils, whole grains, even garlic. And then if you cook in olive oil, so olive oil is very good for you.
I want to
So,
I want to pivot over, if we may, to keto because I've been seeing things pop up about that diet. I'm going to read, these are the headlines and some reputable sources in the last 2 days.
okay.
Basically, new study reveals long-term metabolic risks of the keto diet. And it says it was associated with fatty liver disease and harmed blood sugar regulation. Some say the changes happened within a few days. On to another one, medical news today. This one says, again, this is in the last couple of days. Keto diet may help with depression, but the jury is still out on anxiety. This one from Science Tech Daily. Not sure how reputable it is, but I'm going to read it. New study says that there's uncovers hidden dangers of the keto diet. So maybe it's referring to some of the other stuff we're talking about there. Uh, and it goes on. What are your thoughts on the keto diet? And maybe connected to the heart.
Okay. So give me the background of the keto diet. What does that consist of? Is that going back to the meat diet?
Low carbs, the low carb diet.
Okay. Well, I do think that we have to watch our carbs. I do think, now the other thing is more and more people are gluten intolerant. I think it might
Mm.
have to do with the how we grow our grain, how we're processing our grain. Now, if you're eating whole grain bread and whole grain, and there's a lot of different, even pasta out there made by different grains. I think that if you go into healthy carbs, then you're going to be good. But I don't think you have to get rid of all of them. But I do think a low carb is good. And that, again, goes back to your balancing of your blood sugar. High carbs are going to raise your blood sugar, especially if they're not the good ones, like plain old sugar.
Mm.
And then brown sugar is better than white sugar. Um,
Mm.
so, um,
Now, before when you mentioned the number one cause of death, heart attack in women, I've often heard that it's mostly because the symptoms are masked, whereby when a man has a heart issue, it's classic, if you would call it classic, uh, symptoms that take place. For a woman, it might not feel like a heart attack. It could feel like something else. Is that one of the main reasons why it's not detected, and that's the rate of death in women is so high?
I think you're onto something there. And I don't know if I want to go back to meat again. I think men are more tendent have a more of a tendency to be meat and potatoes, where women may have more of a variety of food in their diet. Um, they may think more about different foods, where a man's more, I want my meat or I want my burger and fries. So that means a high cholesterol. That means more clogged arteries. And that means you're going to have that widowmaker. That means you're going to have that hard, strong pain that's going to like take you down. Like I said with my dad in the airplane, where they had to lay him down, and he said from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, it was, 1,000 or a million. I mean, it was bad. So I think a woman is going to be more subtle in the stenosis and the uh, narrowing of the arteries. It may be more valve issues with calcification on the valves, because they're trying to take extra calcium to help with their bones, and they're
Ah.
not they're not thinking of that K2 MK7 that we talked about, where it helps you absorb your calcium more properly. So
Hmm.
it may be more their valves, and that's going to be more like having congestion. You may feel, they even say there could be jaw pain and going up your neck and down your arm. And so there's the symptoms are more subtle. And I think you're right. So both my grandmothers died at 69 with heart failure, but I will say back in the day, they did not know much. And but what were if you think of being an early pioneer in the early 1900s, you were cooking with bacon grease.
Yeah.
Everything was cooked with bacon grease, and you so instead of olive oil, it was bacon grease. I think that had, even though I know that tastes so good, I think that may have an effect
Everything
on
tastes better with bacon. Let's be honest.
it does. And so
Oh.
I think that that um, the clogging of the arteries is a biggie. And so there you go with the meat and the grease and the fat, and not a healthy fat like within olive oil or your avocados, but fat that's going to clog your arteries more.
I wonder, and this is like the geeky side of me, and I love that time period. I don't know what it is. I love the late 1800s, 1900s. Um, Side note, before I even say what I was going to say, so I don't forget, I just saw a movie the other night that is centered around the early 1900s. Great movie. It's called Train Dreams. It's on Netflix. Uh,
Okay.
Recommended. Recommend it.
Okay.
It's,
All right.
about a gentleman's journey, and he gets married, he suffers loss, but in the end, he finds himself. But if you like that time period, there it is. I gotta
Okay.
wonder, when somebody passed back then, did they even know it was a heart attack? I wonder, if they did an autopsy, would they actually be able to see it? Or, a lot of times people pass and like they're gone. I don't know what happened, but it is what it is.
I think you're right. I think
Hmm.
you're right. And they usually laid them on the kitchen table. And
Yeah.
everybody came and said hi, bye.
Yes. Oh, wow.
I know you're right, and I think also our life cycle wasn't as long, and you can see that with our Social Security levels. Back in the day, Social Security uh, was more like 65, and then they moved it to 67, and now it's 70, and then it's going to be 8, whatever. But yeah, we're living longer because I think a lot of it has to do with our modern medicine allowing us to, say, dilate those blood vessels or have the blood thinners so that we're not having the AFib or the blood clots from AFib that are going to our head and causing a stroke. We have to give a lot of credit to modern medicine, but we do have to just remember that modern medicine was created from a lot of the herbs and herbal formulas that
Mm.
we had for years. And so we can't forget about taking our supplements. And so there's a couple of supplements that are, I want to just bring up real quick. Um, One is L-arginine that really helps with the cholesterol levels.
Hmm.
And so does, CoQ10. But there's one that I ran onto that I was pretty impressed with. That, and I don't even know how to say it properly. It starts with a Jiaogulan, Jigogulan,
Hmm.
or if it's Spanish, Higogulan, but Jiaogulan. Anyway, it's a powerful adaptant. It is known as a immortality herb.
A what?
Immortality, because it helps increase your energy, stamina. It's a powerful adaptant to stress and hormone balance. It supports the heart and circulatory health. So it lowers your bad cholesterol. It raises your good cholesterol, which you know is good for the brain.
Sure.
It promotes healthy blood pressure. It improves blood vessel flexibility. So the vasodilation that I was talking about with our modern medicine allows us to have these blood thinners and stuff that really help. Supports overall circulation. It stabilizes blood sugar. It improves the immune system and the different levels in our own body that create hormones to help, almost like a ginseng. It helps the body fight infections and inflammation. It's an antioxidant and an anti aging for
Wow.
any kind of oxidative stress. It's a liver detox. It improves your skin. It helps with anxiety and sleep regulation. And I know I get a lot of complaints about sleep. And good sleep is one of the requirements and takeaways on a good heart health.
So to your
Um,
point, I just want to jump in here. And you talked about your relatives that passed when they were around 69. My dad dropped at 58, and he was, as far as I know, he was healthy. However, to your point, he burned the candle on both ends, and he loved his boat. So he would change his hours in the plant. He worked in an aerospace plant and would work overnights so that he could be on his boat during the day. He'd grab 4 hours here, 3 hour nap on the couch, that kind of thing. I honestly feel that that's what contributed to him passing. The plus side of it is he did pass on his boat. Like he just dropped and that
oh,
was it.
God.
But I really think it was a lack of sleep. He would just always repeat that. all summer long because he just wanted to be on his boat. So to your point,
Well, yeah, that's that's actually very creative. I know my dad did a similar routine. He did not do it as a life um, plan, but he did it when he first got back from World War II. He worked at nights and then helped my granddad build his barn and his house and well and get his farm started. And I think it helped him with post traumatic stress because that way he didn't have to think about what was going on coming back from the war as far
he
as
was preoccupied. Sure.
he is preoccupied. So I think for short periods of time you can do that,
Yeah.
but I do think that a lot of people do that, especially in the aerospace industry, where they can do that shift work, and then it gives them a chance to do other things in the daytime. And so I think he had the perfect world. So in a way, you can only just I guess commend him for living the life he wanted
Yeah.
and then living it to the end. Now, I would probably imagine that it was the Widowmaker that did it. Something that was fast and hard that just took him right out, rather
To your
than
point.
something very gradual.
Oh, no, to your point, correct. He would always be on my case. Why are you putting salt on that? You don't, this, we have plenty of sodium in our diet. What are you, why are you eating the hot dog? It's got sodium nitrates in it. Like he was kind of, not a health nut, but very particular about it.
Well, it sounds like he had some really good uh, knowledge about basic nutrition.
And that was back then. That was quite a while ago. But to your
I know,
point,
so that's good that he
when
knew
he
that.
died on his boat, the Coast Guard station was maybe 800 feet away with a helicopter. He dropped so fast, to your point, they couldn't even get him on the helicopter. So, yeah, it's, he lived his life the way he wanted to, and he died, on his passion. Um, Final thoughts here,
Okay.
part three, the heart. Anything we're leaving out that we should share?
Well, one thing I looked at was your diet does shape your heart. And so it still goes back to what we've talked about. The other supplement that I've run across is called D-ribose. And it also helps with energy and your heart muscle. And it helps with athletes that are really working out a lot for recovery. So D-ribose is another supplement that's very important for the heart.
Wow. You opened my eyes before to a lot of things, but CoQ10, I know people that take that to alleviate if they take a statin. It can cause like some muscle aches and things like that.
Right, right.
They take CoQ10. I didn't know that that also can help lower your cholesterol. Had no idea.
Well, I'm glad to know that it helps with statins because of the patients I have that are on statins, and I try to get them off of them and do other things, but they want to, be true to what their doctor's telling them, and you just got to honor that. And so they come to me for those leg cramps.
Yes,
So,
CoQ10. That's what that is.
okay,
But I didn't know that that
okay.
also supported lower cholesterol. Um, should we do a part four? I don't know. Did we hit everything
I
on the
don't,
heart?
I don't know, but we can't forget about exercise.
Sure.
And they always say 150, I think it's 150 minutes a week, but it averages 20 minutes a day. And so
Mm.
then my motto has always been a mile a day keeps the doctor away, whether it's walking, biking, running. You don't have to do a marathon. You just
Nope.
need 20 minutes a day just to stay active. And so we've got to keep moving.
Yeah,
We're
yes.
creatures of movement, so we got to keep moving.
And a lot of us think, well, you need exercise for your body, stay fit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes. But it's also for your mind. Many say that it moves stuck energy through your body and, of course, releases chemicals and things like that. But we don't look at it that way. We look at it more as, the body, the health, not the mental health part of it. This is what you do, Path to Wellness. It's tulsapath.com in Tulsa. And sure, there's certainly things that you can offer virtually that supports. I appreciate all this information about the heart, like trading, just learning learned a lot in just a very short period of time talking with you on that. And I appreciate it, Teresa.
Okay, it was fun.
Likewise. I don't know what we're doing next week, but we'll come up with something just as
Okay,
good.
we'll come up with something.
All right.
It
We'll
may have
talk
to
then.
do with energy and heart to a
All right.
certain degree, but energy in a different way.
We'll get there when we get there.
Okay, all
All right.
righty.
Thanks a
Okay.
lot. We'll be right
Okay.
back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.